In the late 90s, Hollywood didn't just find a new actor, they found a currency. Jude Law wasn't just talented, he was biologically offensive. He possessed a kind of beauty that felt like a calculated insult to the rest of the human race. When he played Dickie Greenleaf, he wasn't acting. He was embodying the very essence of the chosen one. By 2004, Jude was the undisputed king of the cool Britannia era. He had the accent, the pedigree, and the crown jewel, Sienna Miller. Together, they were the aesthetic peak of the decade. They weren't just a couple, they were a lifestyle brand. But here's the thing about being at the top of a pedestal. The only direction left to move is down. And in the world of Society Noir, we know that the higher the pedestal, the messier the splat. In 2004, Law took the lead role in the remake of Alfie. He played a charismatic, shallow philanderer who treats women like disposable accessories. The marketing campaign was built on his charm. Meet Alfie, the poster screamed. The problem? Jude Law started to believe his own press. He fell into the most dangerous trap a method actor can face: the blurred line between the script and the soul. When you spend 12 hours a day being told that your charm can get you out of any situation, you start to believe you're immune to the consequences of reality. He wasn't just playing a cad. He was auditioning for the role in his private life. July 2005. While Sienna Miller was on stage in London, Jude Law was busy enacting a script so cliché, so unimaginative, it would have been rejected by a daytime soap opera. He had an affair with the Nanny, Daisy Wright. Let's be clear, this wasn't a grand, tragic romance. It wasn't a star-crossed intellectual connection. It was a sordid, logistical nightmare involving a woman hired to look after his children from his previous marriage to Sadie Frost. It was a nanny scandal, a trope so tired it's practically a Victorian punchline. When the story broke in News of the World, the explosion was seismic. The golden boy didn't just stumble, he crawled into the gutter. The public didn't just feel disappointed, they felt cheated. We had bought into the fantasy of a sophisticated English gentleman. Instead, we got a man who couldn't even manage a discreet affair. He was caught in the most common, midlife crisis way possible. July 2005. While Sienna Miller was on stage in London, Jude Law was busy enacting a script so cliché, so unimaginative, it would have been rejected by a daytime soap opera. He had an affair with the Nanny, Daisy Wright. Let's be clear, this wasn't a grand, tragic romance. It wasn't a star-crossed intellectual connection. It was a sordid, logistical nightmare involving a woman hired to look after his children from his previous marriage to Sadie Frost. It was a nanny scandal, a trope so tired it's practically a Victorian punchline. When the story broke in News of the World, the explosion was seismic. The golden boy didn't just stumble, he crawled into the gutter. The public didn't just feel disappointed, they felt cheated. We had bought into the fantasy of the sophisticated English gentleman. Instead, we got a man who couldn't even manage a discreet affair. He was caught in the most common, midlife crisis way possible. The aftermath of the scandal wasn't a quick fix. It was a slow, agonizing period of purgatory. Between 2006 and 2009, Jude Law's career felt like a ghost ship. He was still working, but the spark was gone. The audience looked at him and didn't see the romantic hero. They saw the guy who cheated on Sienna Miller. In Hollywood, if you lose your likability, you lose your bankability. Jude found himself in the box office poison zone. Movies like All the King's Men and My Blueberry Nights failed to ignite. He was suffering from perceived character fatigue. People were tired of his face because his face reminded them of a mess. In a desperate attempt to reclaim the magic, Jude and Sienna reunited in late 2009. The PR machines groaned with relief. The golden couple is back, the magazines cheered. But you can't glue a shattered diamond back together and expect it to shine the same way. The reunion felt performative. It was a ghost of a relationship, haunted by the ghost of the scandal. When they broke up for good in 2011, it signaled the end of an era. Jude Law realized that he could never go back to being the golden boy. That version of him was dead, buried under a mountain of tabloid ink. He had to pivot. He had to destroy his image to save his career. Most actors would have doubled down on the Botox and tried to play the romantic lead until they were 60. Jude Law did something much smarter. He leaned into the decay. He stopped trying to be the man everyone wanted to sleep with and started trying to be the man everyone was afraid of, or at least the man everyone found complicated. He stepped away from the pretty boy roles. He returned to the theater. He played Hamlet. He played Anna Karenina's husband, the cuckold, not the lover. He began a strategic retreat from the center of the frame. He became a character actor in a leading man's body. This was a dark society tactic. If you can't be the hero, become the most interesting villain in the room. Welcome to the resurrection. If the 2000s were about Jude Law's face, the 2010s were about his range. He did the unthinkable. He made himself ugly in Dom Hemingway. He gained weight, sported a receding hairline, and played a loudmouthed, vulgar ex-con. It was a middle finger to the Alfie archetype. It was him saying, "Are you still looking at my jawline? Because I'm busy acting." Then came the young Pope. This was the masterstroke, playing Lenny Belardo, a cold, calculating, and deeply complex Pope. Jude Law finally merged his natural beauty with a sense of dangerous authority. He wasn't trying to be liked anymore. He was demanding to be respected. But a career isn't just built on screen. It's managed in the shadows. Jude Law pivoted his public persona toward serious global citizen. He traveled to Afghanistan with UNICEF. He fought for the jungle refugee camp in Calais. Crucially, he stopped talking about his private life. Completely. No more at-home interviews. No more red carpet reveals of new girlfriends. He became a professional actor in the purest sense. He rebuilt his wall of mystique. By starving the tabloids of information, he forced them to focus on his work. He learned that in the age of oversharing, privacy is the ultimate luxury and the ultimate protection. Today, Jude Law is more successful, more respected, and arguably more powerful than he was at the height of his golden boy fame. He survived a scandal that would have ended a lesser man because he had the courage to let his old self die. He is no longer the nanny cheater. He is the veteran heavyweight. He is Albus Dumbledore. He is Captain Hook. He is the man who proved that in the dark society of Hollywood, you don't recover by apologizing. You recover by becoming indispensable. Jude Law's story is a masterclass in reputation management. It teaches us that you can survive the gutter, as long as you use the mud to paint something new. Alfie is gone. The Pope remains. In the immediate wake of the Nannygate explosion, Jude Law didn't just lose a fiancée. He lost his invitation to the cultural zeitgeist. In Hollywood, there is a specific type of silence that follows a low-rent scandal. It's not the silence of being forgotten. It's the silence of being between 2006 and 2009. Jude entered what we call the long, cold winter. He was no longer the first name on the call sheet for the prestige romances. He became a cautionary tale. Every time he walked onto a red carpet, the air didn't crackle with excitement. It hummed with judgment. He was suffering from perceived character fatigue. When the public looks at your face and thinks of a tabloid headline instead of character, you are in the reputation purgatory. In late 2009, the dark society witnessed a classic desperate maneuver, the romantic reboot. Jude and Sienna reunited. The tabloids pivoted briefly to a love conquers all narrative. It was a PR dream on paper. The golden couple restored. But here's the cold truth. You can't glue a shattered mirror back together and expect a reflection to be clear. The reunion felt performative. It wasn't a healing of wounds. It was an attempt to reclaim a brand that had already expired. By 2011, when they split for the final time, the world didn't mourn. They sighed with relief. The Alfie era was officially, mercifully dead. Jude Law realized that he couldn't boyfriend his way back into the public's good graces. He had to burn the old house down. Most stars, when faced with fading youth and a tarnished reputation, double down on the vanity. They get the hair plugs. They chase the younger co-stars. They try to outrun time. Jude Law did something much more calculated. He leaned into the decay. He stopped trying to be the man every woman wanted to sleep with and started being the man every woman was afraid of or pitted. In Joe Wright's Anna Karenina, he didn't play the dashing Count Vronsky. He played Karenin, the cold, cuckolded husband. He allowed the camera to linger on his thinning hair and his aging face. This was the silent operator move. By stripping away his greatest asset, his pretty boy status, he forced the industry to look at his utility. He shifted from a star to a tool. And in Hollywood, stars are replaceable, but tools are forever. While the film industry was still skeptical, Jude retreated to the one place where the nanny didn't matter, the stage. In 2009, his Hamlet was a revelation. It wasn't just a performance, it was an exorcism. On stage, he wasn't a celebrity, he was a craftsman. He used the theater to rebuild his artistic credit. You can't boo a man for his private life when he's delivering 5 acts of Shakespearean brilliance night after night. He was laundering his reputation through high culture. He was proving that while his personal choices might be common, his talent was anything but. He was preparing for the final act, the resurrection. The final act of Jude Law's reputation autopsy is not a story of redemption in the moral sense. It is a story of strategic metamorphosis. By 2013, the world had finally stopped talking about the nanny, not because they had forgiven him, but because he had become too interesting to ignore. He had successfully transitioned from the disposable heartthrob to the essential architect. Welcome back to Society Noir. As we close the file on this masterclass in public image revival, we must ask, how did a man who was once a tabloid punchline end up playing a radical pope and a legendary wizard? If you want to survive a scandal that targets your integrity, you must eventually graduate to a role that demands absolute authority. For Jude, that role arrived in 2016 with Paolo Sorrentino's The Young Pope. As Lenny Belardo, he wasn't just an actor, he was a symbol of divine, unpredictable power. He played a man who demanded to be looked at, but refused to be touched. The irony was delicious. The man once shamed for his physical urges was now wearing the infallible robes of the papacy. It was a psychological hijack. By playing a character so steeped in tradition and mystery, Jude effectively erased the lower-end image of the 2000s. He replaced the cheating boyfriend archetype with a divine dictator. He wasn't asking for your love anymore. He was demanding your fascination. This is what we call the Grand Vizier transition. In his 50s, Jude Law has abandoned the frontline vanity of a leading man for the shadow-dwelling power of a character actor with leading man charisma. Look at his recent choices. A manipulative Albus Dumbledore in the Fantastic Beasts franchise, or the terrifyingly obsessed Captain Hook. These aren't roles for someone trying to be liked. They are roles for someone who understands that in the dark society of Hollywood, being formidable is far more sustainable than being pretty. He has embraced the silver fox aesthetic with a cold, calculated precision. The thinning hair that he once tried to hide has become a tool of his trade, lending him an air of intellectual intensity and lived experience. He no longer looks like a man who would chase a nanny in a kitchen. He looks like a man who would dismantle a corporation over a glass of dry sherry. But let's look at the residual toxicity, the lingering shadows of his past. Jude Law remains a fascinating study in the separation of art and artist. He didn't apologize his way back into our hearts. He outworked the scandal. He proved that the public has a very short memory for morality if the talent is undeniable. He weaponized the Icarus circuit. He flew too close to the sun. His wings melted, but instead of drowning, he learned to swim in the dark waters below. The golden revelation of Jude Law's career is this: fame is not a popularity contest. It is a game of endurance. The industry tried to discard him when his private life became too messy for a pristine brand of a romantic lead. But by refusing to play the victim and by leaning into the ugly truths of aging and complexity, he built a new brand that is scandal-proof. Today, he stands as a cautionary tale for those who think a single mistake is the end, and a blueprint for those who understand that a reputation is a living, breathing thing that can be surgically altered. He is no longer the IT girl's boyfriend. He is the veteran, the survivor, the man who looked into the void of the 2000s tabloids and simply waited for the world to find a new target. As we close the dossier on Jude Law, remember the lesson he taught us. If the world tries to burn your house down, don't try to save the furniture. Just use the fire to forge a better version of yourself. In the grand theater of human folly, Jude Law played the fool, then the villain, and finally, the director of his own destiny. This has been a forensic breakdown of a collapse and a comeback. This is Society Noir. Stay sharp, Stay cynical, and never trust a man with a perfect smile, unless you know exactly what it costs him to keep it.